So let's go over and let's talk gravy.
Okay,
Yeah.
next is gravy making. So, wow, again, through the magic of television.
Yeah,
So,
it is here.
so the first thing we're going to do for gravy making actually is to make the turkey stock or broth.
Okay.
And this is something that you would not be doing once the turkey's out of the oven. This is something that you do a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or even weeks or months in advance and put the stock in the freezer.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I make it weeks in advance if I can,
Right.
and I'll just have it frozen.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way you make a turkey stock is you have your giblets from the turkey that we took out earlier, and here they are out of their package. So we have the neck and the kidneys and other goodies like
So
that.
now, do you put all of the giblets in?
So the thing that we're not putting in, yes, except for the liver.
Oh, okay.
So liver can sometimes add off flavors,
Okay.
or
It's like muddy,
makes it a little,
it's a little metallic. So,
Yeah,
so reserve that for
save
something
that
else.
for turkey
and then
pate.
and then do everything else. Put everything else in here.
Right. And then we're going to add carrot, onion, and celery.
Okay.
It can be finely diced, or not finely, but diced like this, or in big chunks.
Like
Doesn't
the onions
matter
are
a
really
lot.
big and
Yep.
chunky. Yeah.
I'm going to put in some herbs. I have parsley, thyme, and a bay leaf.
Nice.
And sometimes I'll put in some peppercorns
Yeah.
or things like, so you can add in other things if you want.
Okay.
Do you do anything different in your stock?
No, that's pretty much what I do. I don't, and I don't like to add salt to it because I really want my broth or my stock to just be like very basic stock.
And especially if you've brined your turkey,
Yes.
you don't want to have salty stock, which is going to be the basis for your gravy.
Yes.
Because then your gravy might get too salty.
But this is the classic mirepoix. Like, you got the carrots, it's a fancy
Classic
French
stock.
word. Yeah, so with onions,
Pressure
carrots,
friends,
and celery.
use fancy French words.
Yeah, it makes everything impressive. And then you just let it simmer for however long you want, right?
Right, yeah. So cold water, starting with cold water, bring it
Okay.
up to a gentle simmer. And yeah, it could be an hour, 2, 3, 4. It just depends on how rich and intense you want the flavor to be.
Okay.
And also, as you pointed out, the size of the pieces, right?
Oh yeah, what my big trick is, if I have time, I will chop the pieces really, really fine. So then you've got this, you've got more surface area for the flavor to sort of extrude out. So you don't have to worry about having it, sit around for as long. But if you have time, or if you don't feel like chopping, just do big coarse chop pieces, throw it in there, and just let it sit, because it's kind of walk away time. As long as it's simmering, just let it simmer for 3-4 hours, and then you have this really nice, lovely
So
stock.
smaller pieces, shorter cook, bigger pieces, longer cook.
It's all
Doesn't
good.
matter.
It's all the same.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
And then once it's finished cooking, you just strain it out, and then
it looks
voila,
like this.
it looks like that.
The magic of
Thank you, Ryan.
television again.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
I want all this magic at home.
Right?
Thank you.
So, so that is one component of our gravy, and it also could be some recipes. I'm not sure if your turkey recipe has you put some broth in the bottom of the pan before you roast.
I do, yes.
Yeah, so you can
Yes.
use this broth for the bottom of the pan when the turkey goes in the oven, right?
Yeah, and of course, if you don't have time to do this, or if you feel like it's an extra step,
Right.
you can always use store-bought
Absolutely.
stock. I've done that
Yeah,
as well.
and around Thanksgiving, you can even buy store-bought turkey stock
Yes.
quite easily.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So then the other components that are going to be part of our gravy are the turkey drippings, so the pan drippings, which we have all this beautiful stuff in our pan. And I'm going to pour it off into a fat separator. And this is a great tool, even if you only use it once a year on Thanksgiving. Use it. I can't really see what I'm doing.
Oh no,
How am
you're
I
doing great.
Okay.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Whee!
All right.
All right.
I think that's good.
Okay, close enough for jazz.
Yeah.
All right, and you'll see that what's left in the bottom of the pan, though, is all this other good stuff. This is not waste. This is not burnt bits.
Yeah.
This is flavor, right? This
Total
is gold,
flavor. Yeah.
cooking
Total
gold.
flavor.
So we want to use the drippings, but we also want to get the stuff in the bottom of the pan. And so what we're going to do is, now I'm obviously working on a stovetop induction burner, but you would do this on your stovetop. You would put your roasting pan right over the burner, or maybe straddling 2 burners if you
Yeah.
have a nice big roasting pan like this
Yeah,
one.
absolutely.
And then you would add a liquid a flavorful liquid. Could be water, but why use water when you can use wine?
You can use broth or
Wine,
wine, or
right.
wine, always better with wine.
Right? And I'm just going to pour in the liquid, and between the liquid and the heat and a nice straight edge spatula like this one from Anolon, you just work up those beautiful brown bits.
I love that.
Right? And not only the side benefit is it makes it really easy to clean the pan, because as you can see, the pan is getting, the bottom of the pan becomes basically clean
Nice.
from this.
Yeah, and you're getting all that flavor,
Exactly, and all that flavor is releasing from the pan and giving itself up to the liquid, which we will then use in our gravy.
Nice. And while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and make the roux.
Right, so that's the third component to our gravy,
Yeah.
or maybe the fourth, I don't know. Broth, pan drippings, deglazing liquid, and roux.
And roux. So I'm going to start off with roux. Now, roux is basically just flour and fat. So it's a combination of flour and fat. I usually do turkey drippings, or the turkey fat.
Yeah.
But for today, I'm going to go ahead and just use the butter because it's just easier. So if you have butter, if you don't have the turkey fat, you can use butter, or you can use even olive oil,
and
whatever
we
fat
could
you
have
have.
just spooned that off at the top and put it in.
Yeah, so the traditional roux, what you're doing is you're doing a 1-to-1 ratio. So it's like if you do half a cup of flour, you're going to use half a cup of fat. I'm actually skewing it a little bit and doing a little bit more flour to fat ratio, mostly because I like to have a little bit more thickening power with my gravy. So I can, that way, it's always easier to thin your gravy down if your gravy is, thick. But if it's super thin, then you're kind of like, oh, now I gotta make more roux.
It's hard to add flour.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm basically just melting the butter here, and then once it's melted, I'm gonna go ahead and add the flour to that.
Nice.
Yeah, and so you'll also notice what's awesome about this is I'm using a whisk to sort of like cook the roux.
Yep.
This is the Anolon non-stick, which is super scary, the idea of using metal utensils, but it's totally safe for metal utensils, which I love.
Yeah.
No,
it's
so
great.
it's great. I'm always scared I'm gonna it's gonna scratch, but it doesn't scratch at all.
Cool.
So I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
Scooping it all together.
So I'm scooping it all together.
together.
Yeah, and I'm just letting it cook a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this is gonna cook.
This is pretty much all deglazed.
Yeah. So
you
usually
can
what?
see.
No, look at that. That's beautiful.
Right.
Go ahead and turn that off for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And what I usually do with this when I'm cooking the roux is I usually bring it to a little bit of a darker color. So you don't want it this is kind of a white color you can see right there.
Yeah,
very
pale.
light, very pale. You can bring it, the more dark you get, the darker your gravy is going to be, obviously. You're going to have a little bit more flavor with that. It's going to get a little more nuttier when you go darker and darker and darker. The one thing to keep in mind is if you do make it super dark, what happens is the thickening power of the roux is just not as good.
Okay.
So it's kind of like it's.
So you might need more roux if you like a darker roux.
Absolutely, yeah. But if I usually like kind
It's
of
just fun to say roux.
Roux, it is. Kind of, yeah, absolutely. It's French. Everything's fancier when it's French, right? So I usually do kind of a blonde roux or a little bit darker than blonde.
Okay.
And it's taking a little bit of time for this to get to that point, so we'll just go ahead and do what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to skip ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're going to pretend that's a nice dirty blonde color.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we're going to add, so the liquids again that we have to choose from to thicken, or to now thin really, the roux, are our pan drippings, our deglazing liquid, our pan drippings, and our broth. So in the order of most flavorful, this is kind of the most flavorful, so we want to use this first. And I'm pointing that out because we won't necessarily need all these liquids. They're here at our disposal until we get the gravy as thick as we want it to be.
Yeah, and gravy is kind of an art. You kind of there definitely are proportions that you do it, but sometimes you want to add more or less depending on how you like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
now I'm just going to pour it all straight in, right?
Pour it straight in. Yeah. Ooh, go ahead. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And then as you do that, I should have been whisking. I'm going to whisk right now.
You're whisking now.
Yeah.
That looks so good.
So look at that. You
and
can
you'll see
smell
it's thickening right up.
You can smell it.
Yeah.
It smells
It
so
is,
good.
but it's good TV. You got lots of.
Yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pour.
From your
The
fancy
dripping.
fat separator,
Yeah.
you got the really good flavorful stuff from the bottom. Nice.
Yeah. So we got that.
Okay, now you have lumps.
I
So
do
let's
have
talk
lumps.
about lumps. This
Yeah.
is, I think after is the breast moist. The next biggest concern for people when making Thanksgiving dinner is the gravy lumpy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is always an issue. You know, when you have homemade gravy, you're gonna have lumps. It happens. And I always like to say, you know, it's not homemade unless there's a few lumps here or there. You know, it's rustic. You know,
rustic.
it's French.
It's life.
Yeah, it's French. You know, that's my thing. It's like I did it French style. So, but if you do have lumps in there and you really want to get rid of it, if you
Yeah.
really want a
Yeah.
super smooth
It's not
gravy,
a big deal either.
yeah,
Don't stress about that.
yeah, you can go ahead and you can actually strain it, which is
Right.
an easy way to get rid of the lumps. Or sometimes I just throw it in a blender and I just, you know, blend it away, and then
Blend it
it's
up.
super easy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin this down a little
is
bit
your
with
broth.
some broth. And then the one thing to keep in mind is with gravy, you want to go a little bit thinner than you would think gravy should be, because as it cools, it actually thickens up. So that's
Wonderful.
something you want to think about as well.
Yeah, and now it looks like the lumps are totally. And actually, I should point out there's bits in the bottom of the roasting pan, so that's adding to lumpiness too. So if
Yeah.
you don't like those bits, then just strain
Again,
it out.
straining out.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So
And now we didn't put any salt in our broth.
No,
we
so at
did
this-
have salt in our turkey, so there might have been seasoning in
Yeah.
our.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
at this point, when you're making your gravy and you want, you know, carefully taste it
Yep.
with a spoon and just season with salt and pepper
Right.
or sage or
Season
whatever
to
you want to
taste.
do.
Awesome.
Yeah, and what's also great about making gravy, like I said, it's more of an art than it is one of those sciences. You can swap out the liquid. You could use wine. I know you use
Like
wine
we
to
did,
glaze.
yep.
You can also use cider, which I like cider and stuff. So it's all great.
Cool,
All right, so
cool.
let's move on.